Hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm reading the Iliad by Homer, translated by Robert Fitzgerald, as a part of a read along with Steve Donahue. We've been reading 6 books each week in the month of June, and this week we read books 13 through 18. And this is some of the most thrilling books in the whole of the work. I just was exhilarated reading this kind of build up and charged tension. And so begins with the Trojans storming the barricades of the Greeks. The Greeks have been pushed back, and they're suffering losses. The main heroes that have been on the battlefield have been all variously injured in different battles that they've had. So Agamemnon and Odysseus and Menelaus have all suffered wounds. They're now at the edge of a catastrophic defeat if the Trojans get through this wall and get to their ships and burn them. It's the end of the war. And Zeus has said the gods are no longer going to be interfering. Immediately, all the certain gods start coming up with schemes. We have Hera, who decides to sleep with Zeus to get him all drowsy, and he'll fall asleep, and then the gods can go down and start running amok. This all happens, and Zeus wakes up and gets angry. Poseidon wants to help the Greeks, and he's now being involved with this war against Zeus's wishes. He's out on the battlefield. Zeus sends a messenger down to Poseidon, and the messenger is relaying, because Zeus never, unless he has to, he doesn't get off his chair. The messenger says, Poseidon, you have to stop, pull back. You know you're making Zeus angry. He's the most powerful god. And Poseidon is just beside himself with anger, and he's saying, well, I'm not a lesser god. I'm the equal of Zeus. I'm not going to stop. He is the ruler of the sky and the clouds. I am the ruler of the seas. And is it Hades? The other brother is the ruler of the underworld. Ares, Hades. But no one of us gods is entirely in charge of Earth. And the messenger questions Poseidon. Says, do you want to take a moment and think about how you would like to respond? And Poseidon just takes a moment and kind of thinks like, well, Zeus is, he's kind of the big older brother, and I'm not going to mess with him, and takes a step back. And to think about how all these soldiers, how they would feel if they knew about the shenanigans going on Mount Olympus that is deciding their fate. Like you're in this long, horrible war. You have your friends and comrades just dying by the dozen beside you, and to think it's because Zeus slept with his wife or got angry with his brother. It really, I think it would be quite upsetting if the Greeks or the Trojans kind of saw the behind the scenes of how these gods are deciding their fates. But the Trojans are running rampant on the Greek fields, and Achilles has his ships still stationed with the Greek camp. He's announced that he had earlier said he's not going to be fighting the Trojans unless they plan an attack on his ships. Achilles is the leader of the Myrmidons. I'm not sure how you say that, but his battalion of troops who are like Achilles, some of the best soldiers the Greek army has to offer. And Achilles' friend, Petroleus, Patroclus, something like that. I'll say Petroleus. Petr- Petrocles. Petrocles, Achilles' friend, comes to him crying and just says, "We're dying out there. They're about to win the war. Our friends and soldiers are dying. We're suffering horrible losses. We need to get out there and fight." And Achilles admonishes him and says, "I have made an oath. I will not go and fight until they make it to my ships. Agamemnon has disrespected Achilles, and he's not going to take it." Finally, Achilles relents a little bit and says, Take the troops, Patrocles. You can wear my armor and just ward off the Trojans for this one insurgents. Just get them back to the barricades." And Achilles warns Patrocles not to fight Hector. So Patrocles and the Myrmidons finally go off. And on Hector's side, we have a change of character in how Hector has become a leader, how he's issuing his troops and how he talks to them. Hector, a few books ago, had offered just a one-on-one battle to save the lives of the armies on both sides. And now we have a Hector who is bloodthirsty, kind of frenzied, mad with anger and just wanting to demolish and win the war. He's yelling at his soldiers, calling them cowards. He has advisors coming to him saying, let's pull back. We've had a really great battle. Let's all regroup, take the night, take the day to rest and recover. And Hector just wants to keep storming in. And he just seems like he's going mad, has like a bloodlust, wants to just destroy the Greeks on this one last raid. And it's a complicated set of emotions. Like, is he just going off the deep end and now is mad with fury and is no longer thinking about his the real reason that they're in this war? Or is he very much aware of the stakes and just putting everything in? The Greeks have been here for 10 years. They want to invade their city and take their women and murder the children and take all of their stocks, livestock and riches. And that's what's on the table here. And on top of all of that, this is some sort of holy war where the gods are involved and they are meddling with the fates of both of these civilizations and the soldiers on the battlefield. And to make matters worse, these are gods that are flighty and change their minds and are unreliable. And Hector now believes that of the gods that are on his side, he has Zeus on his side, and must be fully aware that is not necessarily going to stay true for very long. Zeus can just change his whims at any moment, and so he's trying to use this momentum, because the next day Poseidon might be back on the battlefield, or Ares. So it's interesting. Is he just completely lost his wits, or is he very much aware of his surroundings on the battlefield and on Mount Olympus? He believes that Zeus is on his side. Patroclus goes off with his troops, the Myrmidons, and they're a force to be reckoned with. It's a huge surge of momentum and a morale boost for the Greeks. They're now turning the tides a little bit and making some headway. And Patroclus, like Odysseus and Agamemnon and the other Greek and Trojan soldiers, is a great soldier, and he's fighting with competence and skill and strategy. And there is a face-to-face with Hector. Patroclus dies, and Hector takes the armor. Patroclus is wearing the armor of Achilles. Achilles gave him his armor to help with this fight. And he takes the armor, and now Hector wants to take the body, which, shown in this book, is against the rules of their own common rules of warfare. We've had breaks through these battles where the Trojans and Greeks alike come to recover their bodies, and there's religious rituals of cleaning the bodies and having these pyres, burning the dead soldiers. Hector now wants to take the body. He talks of having Patroclus eaten by dogs in Troy, having the body dismembered and disgraced. The Greeks have this final stand with Hector and the Trojans. They're fighting over this dead body, the dead body that's friends with Achilles. Hector is wearing his armor and disgracing a fallen soldier on the battlefield. And the Greeks decide Achilles does not know that this has happened. Myrmidons have died as well, and it might have been enough for Patroclus to die on the battlefield, but to steal the armor of the great Achilles, the man wearing the armor, you want to have his body fed to dogs? This message gets relayed back to Achilles, and now we're at the beginning of the rage, the wrath of Achilles. He can't take this this sort of dishonor, disrespect, and Achilles flies through the roof at the messengers giving him this description of what's happened on the battlefield, what's happening right now. And Achilles' mother comes down. Now, Achilles is half god. So his mother's a god, and she comes down and talks to him. And we have this scene, this interaction where the choice that Achilles makes is going to determine his fate. Is he going to be short-lived and have immortal glory, or is he just going to turn his back to all of this and live a quiet life? And Achilles can't stand this. He's not going to be disrespected like this, and have his friend die. And there's now a soldier out there wearing his armor. No, he's going to insist on revenge and show his wrath. And his mother says, "You don't even have any armor at all. Just wait the night, and I'll come back with new armor." Now, when you're a god, you go to the god of blacksmithing. And so this new shiny armor that Achilles is going to be wearing when he shows his wrath is going to be made by a god. He's going to be wearing the god of blacksmithing. He's going to be wearing that armor. And in some ways, Achilles is really not a figure to pity. The whole book that we've been reading, all of this death, the massacres and brutality, has been largely because of Achilles. He not only did he decide that he was no longer going to be fighting in the war, he has a message relayed to Zeus and says, let them know what they're missing when I'm not on the battlefield. And the grand design of all of this back and forth with the gods is Zeus agreeing to this request. And unlike nearly every other character in the book who's not a god, Achilles seems to have some inside information to what is going on Mount Olympus and how these gods operate. And if you know the lives of all of these men, the fortunes or failures of these cities is largely dictated by the whims of the gods, you might have a totally different attitude to your participation in any of this. At the very beginning of the book, Achilles wanted to be treated like a half god. He wanted to be treated with more than respect. And when you're fighting in a war dictated by the gods, started because Helen, who is another god-like figure, has been abducted by the enemy. And on the Greek side, you have a half-god fighting for you who is the greatest soldier that has ever lived. And Agamemnon wants to pick a fight with him. A bad move. It makes some sense that a godlike figure would say, you handle it. You see how you fare. And we see all of this play out. When the Trojans were at the barricades, we had a party. Agamemnon sent Odysseus and was it Ajax or Phoenix, or sent a party to Achilles to ask for his help. Achilles says no. That might have gone even differently in that meeting if Agamemnon would have come himself and gotten on his knees and said, "Yes, you're a half god. Help us." And he didn't do it. He didn't relent. And Achilles is seeing um, the turmoil, the aftermath of his own design. Let this war play out without Achilles. And so there's all this buildup and tension on both sides. Um, and we've had so many great examples of great soldiers. Hector is a great soldier. Patroclus and Agamemnon and Odysseus um, and a whole bunch of others. Ajax and big Ajax. And up until this point, Achilles hasn't even stepped foot on the battlefield. And that's where we are right now. He's just gotten his bright new shiny armor. And it's about to begin. The wrath of Achilles. It's so exciting, so thrilling. The next few books, we see how all of this plays out. The confrontation between Achilles and Hector. What happens when these two go face to face? What does it look like to have Achilles on the battlefield? We've seen larger than life figures. It's amazing. So those are some of my thoughts on books 13 to 18. I'm going to look forward to hearing what Steve thinks and his reading for this month of these books, and it's great. So let me know what you think as well. So thank you for watching, and leave a comment if you would like, and take care.